Purple Daily is daily Vikings entertainment. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
I will ride with this group.
Seriously, man. Please.
And away we go.
It's a Write That Down Wednesday here on Purple Daily. Going to have two of us out at training camp again today. So Judd's camp notes are going to be in full effect with some Phil seasoning on top of those camp notes. You're hydrating already.
Hydrating already. Very important.
Mm-hmm. Dude, I just out walking the dog this morning at like 6:45. It was swassy. These guys are going to be out there between 2 and 4 p.m., 92 degrees.
I know.
Humidity.
I know. And full pads, yeah. So this is going to be...
Are we full pads again today?
Yeah, shells. So full pads Monday, shells yesterday, full pads today, and off tomorrow. So we want to work up a lather.
So we're going for it today.
I'm currently fasting because I have a physical this afternoon with my annual physical, so I can't have any. I think you can drink black coffee. I think that's okay, but I never know, and I don't want to get there and then I said I had some, and then they can't run my blood or draw my blood, so I can't have a drop of any type of liquid or food until probably 3 o'clock today. So I'm in a great mood to start this day.
So
Great
Declan's
mood.
going to be
Is
on
a health
edge.
bar really going to end their world? Are your blood tests going to go all haywire because you had a morsel of granola?
Let me reframe it this way. Do you really need that granola bar before you do an annual important blood test that could give you indicators of your health? Can you?
This is young. The odds
I'm
are
team
he's healthy.
fasting here, okay?
I
That's
remember
pretty
last
healthy.
year when I did it, and I try, you try to book them early in the morning, so then that way you just you go to bed, you wake up, you go to your appointments, you don't have to do this dang song and dance I'm doing today. But I
Right.
couldn't get one, so I had to do the afternoon. But last year when I went, she was like, "Hey, have you been fasting for 12 hours?" I said, "I have," and she goes, "Oh, well, I'm going to give you some orange juice though, just in case." Well, then what's the point?
Exactly.
I would have woken up and had some orange juice.
Blood sugar spikes.
We don't want to pass out.
Exactly right, which leads me to believe the whole thing is a scam.
Okay, so maybe you should swing by a Kwik Trip and grab a snack
Yeah.
right before
I
you go
love
into
how
your
you're
physical.
thinking. I
Maybe
love
that-
how
There
you're
we
thinking.
go.
Perfect
Yeah.
transition. You know what? Perhaps you've been fasting like Declan and you just get done and now you're like, I got to get something to eat. Do I want to go to the grocery store, a restaurant? Hell no. You want to go to Kwik Trip. Quickest, easiest way to get not just a snack, not just pop or a drink, but look at all of the items right there. That's right, folks. It's like a grocery store, only easier. Fill up your tank. Get a salad right there, get a snack, get a coffee, and here is the best part. With the new Kwik Trip app, you can also get all of those things delivered to your car, so you don't even have to go in and shop.
Perfect.
Kwik Trip, making your life as easy as possible. So check them out, and we always appreciate the fact that they are the presenting sponsor of Purple Daily.
And before we get into the accountability session here and the predictions, this is the annual, this whole week, Score North Power of Sports auction over at scorenorth.com/auction, benefiting the Courage Kenny Rehabilitation Institute. I want to turn your attention here in a moment to 3 really great purple-related items that you can bid on right now, or maybe get a group of friends or family together. But what is Courage Kenny? Well, Courage Kenny works with children and adults who experience life-altering injuries and disabilities. Like my Uncle Steve, 15 years ago, motorcycle accident, 3 months at Courage Kenny, getting him back in just physical form. I mean, some people have life-altering, paralyzing injuries, and Courage Kenny offers a full range of innovative rehab therapy covering physical, occupational, and speech. And so we're looking to raise money. We're looking to raise $15,000 this week, and we are giving you guys some great things to buy and bid on at scorenorth.com/auction. The Monday Night Football experience, courtesy of our friends at ESPN Radio. You can get 4 lower-level tickets to see the Purple and Chicago Monday Night Football December 16th and a $200 gift certificate to the Jester Concepts Restaurant Group, which is Burrow, Parlor, Butcher and the Boar, Starling, and Edina. You can bid on that right now at scorenorth.com/auction. Also, dinner for 4 with us, the Purple Daily crew, is up for bid. That was a blast last year.
That was awesome.
Just 7 of us at Red Rabbit in the North Loop. Also, TJ Hawkinson signed an authentic Vikings jersey as part of that package, and you get a $150 gift card to the Vikings team store as well, included with dinner with the Purple Daily crew and the Purple Daily bootlegged t-shirt package. So the t-shirts that we had ready to roll on draft night that didn't come to fruition, like Purple Looks Good on Penix, Bo Leave, It May Be Our Year, all sorts of bootleg shirts. And I believe as of this morning, we have a Harrison Smith autographed football that's going to be included, probably a future Hall of Famer there,
Nice.
and some other fun things in there, and all sorts of non-purple related things. scorenorth.com/auction to help for a great cause. You can also just straight up donate if you want to. So, all right, let's get to the accountability session.
Write this down.
Well, here's how Write That Down works. First of all, 3 Vikings or football-related predictions from all of us each week. They must be quantifiable. We keep track of completion percentage and touchdowns on this show. And if you want to participate, like our guy Frank is about to, you can send Declan a message through the Score North app, and we'll get you scheduled for some time in the coming weeks. So, okay, boys, we'll start with Judd. We got some training camp stuff coming off the board here already, huh?
Yep.
You said Andrew Van Ginkel will begin training camp on a reserve list of some kind.
He's been slow to work in a little bit, but yeah, no, he began on the active practicing roster, which is good news. This is one I don't mind being wrong on.
Yeah, he's been out there.
Because I'd prefer that he be able to practice coming off a foot injury.
Blonde hair flowing underneath that helmet.
Oh, it's nice.
You said the Packers will sign Jordan Love to a contract extension sometime in 2024, and he'll have a top 10 average annual value contract. Yeah, number 1. Try number 1 for AAV.
Should have said top 3.
I had a bunch of stuff come off the board. We'll start with the bad here. I said J.J. McCarthy's first touchdown pass in practice will be to Justin Jefferson. And I said red zone or 2-minute drill. I did not specify 7-on-7 or team. And his first 7-on-7 touchdown pass was to Jalen Naylor.
Yes.
Therefore, I am incorrect.
And he has yet to take a snap with the first team as well. So that was what you were banking on.
So I was wrong there. I said we will see a report or a video of J.J. McCarthy or Sam Darnold throwing to Jordan Addison or Justin Jefferson sometime before training camp starts. Like maybe they'd gather in a city. Well, McCarthy had Thielen all summer.
Was Adam Thielen helping him out?
Didn't even need those guys. I said the Vikings would part ways with John Parker Romo before the mass cut day.
That was a great call.
With a month to spare. And I said this is a technicality win for me here. I said the NFL will replace the onside kick with a new solution by the 2025 season. I was thinking like a 4th and 15 or something.
Right.
Instead, they replaced the onside kick with just like new onside kick parameters where you have to announce it beforehand. It can only be in the 4th quarter. You have to be losing.
Yeah.
And then like if the ball isn't touched, then the penalty for like the regular kickoff is enforced and the opposing team gets the ball at the 40. So they just change the onside kick.
Can we just do the 4th and 15 thing, please?
Yeah, what was there, like one onside kick, like successfully recovered last year or something? Like that I don't get it. Why don't you just make it better?
Because this league, the one thing is they adapt things, but they take so damn long, right?
It's also like for people that are all like onside kick preservationists, we got to preserve this part of the game. It's an oddity to the game. Like it's not a traditional football play. It's the only time you do something like an onside kick is for the onside kick. It's not like a field goal, extra point. You line up for those type of kicks, 8 times a game. So just run a play, man. It'd be how much more exciting would it be if a playoff game is on the line and there's 2 options. One is we're going to announce an onside kick in which nobody can get a running head start like in previous generations, or playoff game on the line. Josh Allen gets a 4th and 15.
Yeah.
And if he completes a pass to whoever it is, then they get to keep the ball and move forward. Now, referees could obviously then like be coaxed into throwing penalties, and there'd be a whole controversy there.
I'd rather have that.
Anyways, but they did replace it with just a slightly different version. Okay, listeners, nothing off the board, so we'll highlight something still on the board here. Matt said between like the spring when he made this prediction, it was like right before the draft, and August 1st, the Vikings will acquire a quarterback that leads them to a Super Bowl win at some point. I think this was in the spirit of the Justin Herbert rumors that were out there at the time.
Okay.
But he wanted to leave it open for a draft pick. Well, tomorrow's August 1st, so he's basically locked into J.J. McCarthy going forward because he made this prediction after Sam Darnold was already on the team. So it's J.J. McCarthy or bust for Matt here.
Fair enough.
And Declan said last week Dwight McGlothern would see time with the first team starting defense between the first practice and this week's Write That Down. Full team is what you specified.
Yep.
Unless Judd saw something that I haven't.
I was not at practice yesterday because of our fun Twins event. Thanks, Twins, at Park Tavern last night. But I have not seen Dwight McGlothern with the first.
I think we would have probably seen one of the other beat writers too mention it. And given the fact they were so down on bodies too, like I didn't make because I believe Shaq Griffin wasn't injured at this time last week, or at least the time of the prediction.
He got hurt on Thursday or Friday.
Yeah.
So
I'm sure you're right.
I thought just being down bodies, I might have been able to backdoor into this, but I don't think it happened. That's okay.
It'd be pretty rare for undrafted rookies to be playing first team snaps, but Gabriel Murphy did toward the end of the practice on Monday. It was 2-minute drill, and he was out there with the first team defense as the third edge rusher. So with that, Declan on the season, leading everyone with a 46.8% completion percentage. I'm at 37%, Judd 34%, listeners 31%. Judd and listeners tied with 3 touchdowns apiece to lead that category. All-time stats going back to 2021, Declan leads with a 37% completion percentage, Judd 35%, I'm at 33.5%, listeners 23%. I have 47 touchdowns, which leads the category, but a couple of you closing in behind here. So let's get a longtime emailer, first-time guest on Write That Down, Frank Bella. Welcome to the show, Frank.
Pleasure to be here. Skull with my New York City accent.
Yes, we love it. And you've got your Defend the North vintage hat from like 2016, we determined before we turned the mics on here.
Yeah, I think so. I found it online, and I thought it was neat, and that was the explanation. So I did wear it. I went to the Bears game in Chicago last year, and I wore it there because of North rival. So
yeah.
And
so,
did you get harassed by some Bears fans?
Constantly. We actually took a staged photo of the Bears fans, beating me up. It was kind of fun. But we won the game. That's all that winning is the last laugh.
I'm glad it was staged, Frank. I'm glad it was staged.
So we've gotten to know you through your emails to the show over the years, but for the Write That Down audience here, what are some of your early Vikings fan memories? How did you get hooked on this football team?
I get asked this all the time. Lifelong, born in, raised in, lives in New York City. How in the world did this happen? I must have done something so terrible God punished me, wanted to give me a life of suffering. Now, New York City is a pro town. We're not a college town. We have 9 pro teams in the 4 major sports. So like any normal person, for baseball, basketball, hockey, root for a local team, Mets, Knicks, and Islanders, who, by the way, beat your North Stars for the Stanley Cup. Thank you. Football is different because in those days, there were 14 games, and there was only, 1 game a week. So the Vikings would be on television, and I just became a fan that way. Now, had I been smart, Jets and Giants combined have 5 Super Bowls. And Vikings combined have 0. So that's how it started. There was no connection. There was no family connection. The Vikings were on TV, and that was it.
You're lucky that you didn't become a Jets fan. I'd rather be a Vikings. Like the Giants, we can debate Super Bowls, right? They've had some great successes. And I know the Jets have the Super Bowl, but I think life as a Jets fan would be far more of a miserable existence for the most part.
If you were born after the Joe Namath Super Bowl, true.
Yeah.
But I tell you, I grew up and the Jets stunk, and the Jet fans would still be sticking to me. We have our championship and you don't. And they were right. And that's always been very painful.
I personally was a Chad Pennington fan in the late 90s, early 2000s.
Curtis Martin
was a couple
great.
good years there.
Yeah. Vinny Testaverde.
Yeah. Phil
the way
Parcells.
Well,
yeah.
they haven't had a marquee quarterback since Namath either.
I mean, that's some Ken O'Brien shade that you're casting right there. But
the Richard Todd shade right there is very upsetting,
Yeah.
Frank.
Ken O'Brien, Richard Todd, Matt Robinson, Chad Pennington,
Mark
J.J.
Sanchez. Hey,
Jones.
Mark Sanchez led them to 2 AFC championship games.
But he wasn't
he was in the car, I guess, as they
he
drove
wasn't
to.
a marquee player. I mean, it was the defense and their running game.
Yeah, the butt fumble is what he'll be most remembered for.
Yeah, but I agree with John. I mean, I wouldn't trade my Viking fandom. It's like giving away one of your own kids. You may have a problem child, but just the fact that they're yours. I wouldn't want to be a fan of any other team. So
they're a delinquent, but they're your delinquent. Those Vikings.
My wayward sons.
So let's go around the room here. We'll each make one prediction per rotation. We'll start with Frank, over to Judd, Declan, and then all round it out. So Frank, this is your first ever prediction on Write That Down.
Write this down.
Here we go.
You would think after all this time I would start with a Viking prediction, but it's going to be a football prediction, indirectly a Viking prediction inspired by Judd, because I'm going to show him how wrong he is. In fact, all of you are wrong because you agreed with Judd, but Judd was the most animated. So let me make the prediction and then I'll explain. Okay. Write this down. Drake May will be in the top 3 for offensive rookie of the year. Now, I think it doesn't go by conference. It goes by all NFL. So the way I would clarify it is wherever he finishes, he will be in the top 3 of those in the AFC getting votes. How's that?
Okay. Yeah, I think it is an all NFL, but they do list out however 1 through 10 or something.
Right.
Yeah.
So if he comes in 5th, but 2nd of AFC players, then I would be right. That kind of thing.
I did read a practice report yesterday that he was 2 for 9 and really struggled to get the ball out. Just for transparency. Okay. I know it's the first week of training camp, but we'll see what happens.
So, all right. So let me explain this. So through the whole draft lead up, his exact words were the Patriots would have to be crazy to not take the Vikings deal. Mm-hmm. That you accumulate more picks because the Patriots had so many needs. And I'm saying to myself, I hope he's right, because I wanted Drake May, because that's what I heard who O'Connell wanted. But I mean, the axiom is in the Super Bowl era, the marquee Hall of Fame elite quarterback is harder to get than the other 52 guys. Now, whether the guy turns out to be elite is a separate issue. He could be a bust. You have a chance to get that guy. You have to get him. I have my research done, but long and short of it is Super Bowl era is 58 years, right? I'm counting Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers, and Mahomes as Hall of Famers. 29 Hall of Fame quarterbacks in the Super Bowl era. Only 2 have never made a Super Bowl. That would be Warren Moon, Dan Fouts. 3 others didn't win it, but they made it, which would be Tarkenton 3, Kelly 4, and Marino 1. My numbers might be off for 1 or 2, but my point is you have a chance to get that guy. The rest of your team stinks. You have a better chance of getting to and winning a Super Bowl than having an otherwise all-around solid team. I went to opening day at Cincinnati a few years ago. The Vikings were robbed, right, with the non-fumble by Dalvin Cook. Yeah. You would have told me that day the Bengals would be in the Super Bowl that year. What? I should have known better. Without Joe Burrow, they're a 6-10 team. And I don't care about Jamar Chase. You give me that Hall of Fame quarterback. That is the ticket to getting and winning it. And my point is, what I'm saying Judd's wrong is that Super Bowls are won with stars and with elite quarterbacks. The rest of the team is easier to fill. And the Patriots were right to draft Drake May, even if the rest of the team stinks. That's my point.
Yeah, but there's not a 100% chance that Drake May is a Hall of Fame quarterback or J.J. McCarthy. You're playing – the Vikings are hedging a little bit by not giving up an extra first – whatever the extra thing would have been to give to the Patriots. They're hedging by saying – because we're only 65% sure on Drake May, and I'm making these numbers up, and we're 45% sure on J.J. McCarthy, we'd rather hang on to the extra draft capital and sort of swallow the 20% difference or whatever the gap is. I think we can all agree, based on reports, they liked Drake May on their draft board better than J.J. McCarthy.
Right.
We just don't know what that gap was.
Well, I'm happy the way it turned out. I'm just saying that
We're all
the
agree that
Patriots-
Judd's wrong, though, in general about a lot of things.
The Patriots-
taking the Patriots' point of view.
Right. Which is they're going to likely ruin the kid. I think the coaching staff's a mess.
Troy Aikman was 1-13 his first year. The Colts,
Jimmy Johnson, though. Jimmy Johnson, football mastermind.
All right.
Look at what the Patriots are doing here. I don't like it, but I get your point. All right.
Judd's
Write this
prediction.
down.
Here we go.
Write this down. Will Reichard will break the Vikings record for the longest field goal in franchise history this season. The record is 61 yards, December of 2022, the game at US Bank Stadium against the Giants. Now, Reichard had a really good day on Monday. Reports are he had a rocky day on Tuesday, but there's no question the kid has a huge leg.
Big leg, Bill.
I think we're going to see, I don't think it's stretch to say that there is a very good chance that he is allowed to and kicks a 62, 63-yard field goal to establish a new Vikings record.
This would be a touchdown if it happens, clearly. Declan, what's your first prediction?
All right, write this down. The Vikings will add Stephon Gilmore at some point in 2024.
Okay.
I don't know if it'll be. I could also see this maybe being a Dalton Reisner 2.0 situation from last year where he might be added mid-season. But I want to give myself the cushion. I want to give myself a little bit of a leeway here. I think they will add Gilmore. I don't know when, but I want it on the record that the Vikings will add Stephon Gilmore at some point in 2024.
Okay.
Write this down.
I want to make sure I haven't made this prediction. I'm clearly standing for Gabriel Murphy. He was my number one pick in Mr. Mankato. Everybody was lauding Sam Darnold for a 45-yard connection during 2-minute drill the other day. Yeah, well, that play should not have even happened because my guy, Gabriel Murphy, undrafted free agent, broke through on a twist and wound up sacking him on that play. So I don't think I've predicted that he's going to make the 53-man roster. So I will say Gabriel Murphy will make the Vikings 53-man roster. The original, like the first 53-man roster going into the season. Like when they announced the first 53.
Right.
Write it down.
Write this down.
Okay, back to Frank for your second
By the way,
prediction.
was my first pick a touchdown? The Drake May?
Yes.
Oh,
well,
okay. Cool.
well, you said AFC, and he's a quarterback. You said top 3 AFC rookie.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Offensive.
I would say because he's a quarterback, he's a first rounder. It's borderline. You'd probably have to add something to it.
No, I'll leave it.
You leave it? Okay.
Yeah.
It's a good solid completion though if it happens.
All right, so I'm up. All right, write this down. In England, Dallas Turner will sack Aaron Rodgers twice on his own. And what I mean by on his own, not 2 half sacks that equal 1. 2 sacks, Dallas Turner sacking Aaron Rodgers. And if you want, I'll make a parlay out of it. The second part is Dallas Turner will be happy about it. He will express no remorse about sacking the old man.
He will celebrate with joy.
Write this down.
Aaron Rodgers already fighting with receivers. Garrett Wilson yelling on the sidelines.
What a
guy's ridiculous.
What a mess. All right. Write this down.
You like writing things down?
Off of Declan's, write this down. Stephon Gilmore will sign with a team before the regular season begins. So I don't think he's going to. I don't think he's.
You say he'll sign with the
will
team
sign
before the season?
with a team before the season begins. So he's not going to make it into the season.
I mean,
what? What?
Yeah, like of course he's gonna. Is there any like?
Well, no. Deck said that it could be a Reisner thing where he signs in season.
This feels a little check downy to me.
And I'm
here.
saying,
feels
hey,
a little check
I'll take
downy.
it. I'll take it. I'll take it. No problem. But
just so we're clear on what Judd's doing here,
yes,
this is a check down. Okay.
But I actually think that there's going to be. I think he's right now being very smart, and as teams lose cornerbacks going into the season, I think he's very much going to play, and I think it will be before the season begins that he signs.
Okay, so just to be clear, you think that the best remaining free agent
Yeah,
on the
we'll sign
market
before
who
the
has
season. But Declan
intention of
broached the
playing this
topic,
season
and
is
he's
going to
not wrong.
sign before the season?
But Declan's not wrong. It could be a Reisner thing where he writes. So if he signs in week 2
I'm not as
or
anti-check
3,
down on this.
I
one.
know you. Of course, you're not.
I'm more of an anti. I was more anti-check down that Jordan Love would have a top 10 AAV contract predicted like 3 weeks ago. That one.
well, that's fine.
That,
well, then
that
you know
one
what?
was
Voice your
that one was
displeasure.
behind
Guess what?
the
It's
line
in
of
green,
scrimmage.
baby. It's in green.
Get him, Dex.
It
Get his
doesn't
ass.
matter. It
Get his
doesn't
ass.
matter. And by the way, I don't think that you can be coming at me for checkdowns. You have checked down quite a bit yourself, young man.
Yeah, get his ass, Judd.
I don't
Get
think
him.
you can be coming
Write
at
this
me.
down.
I can't hear you from all the way up top.
East
That's
Coast guy
that's a
comes
long-
on
that's
and
a
the
long
show
way.
gets contentious.
Long way.
The show
That's
gets
right.
very New
We're
York.
honking at each other.
Very New York. Hey, screw you, buddy.
Screw you.
Declan, you're
right.
up next.
Write this down. I'll make a Will Reichard prediction as well. He will make all of his field goals in preseason games.
Oh, okay.
He will not miss a field goal in his preseason games. Write it down.
I feel like maybe
Perfect.
the pressure of getting the job early maybe affected him in practice yesterday, right?
I didn't
like
see
usually
the
like the pressure would be
particulars.
alleviated, you get the job, and now he feels like, oh, I'm the guy.
Oh
I'm
my
the
God.
guy. I'm a spotlight. There's fans in the stands watching me kick these field goals.
Oh my God. Oh no, it's another Viking kicker.
He also played in front of more fans in college than he will ever play for at US Bank Stadium, right? I mean, how many people sit in those SEC stadiums like Alabama? 100,000?
Bam, I don't know, but I mean, yes, some are huge, so you're not wrong.
Yeah. Big leg Bill.
Write this down.
Okay. I feel like I'm still a Darnold defender. I've got a lot of like positive Sam Darnold predictions on the board.
And you're about to cross them all off the list.
I feel like I should hedge. Like I've got a Darnold will sign for at least $20 million average annual value. Darnold will have a career high passer rating. So I'm gonna hedge a little bit here. I'm still a Darnold defender. It's gonna be a little bit of a slow start. Brian Burns and that Giants defense. We're gonna look ahead to week 1 here now. Week 1 will be a little rough out of the gate offensively for old Sammy boy. So he's going to combine for at least 4 sacks taken and turnovers combined. At least 4 sacks taken or turnovers combined. Would be kind of a rough. Could be sacked 4 times. Could be 2 picks, couple of sacks. Could be a fumble and 3 sacks. But it'll be
Write this down.
tough.
And I'm sorry, is this just for week 1 or is
Just
this
for week 1.
Just for week 1, yeah.
Just for week 1 against
Going
against
home,
the Giants.
MetLife Stadium, the Post. Those
ghosts
He's
that
got
he
a
sees.
fighting chance to be on the back page of the Post, like laying down on the ground. Yeah, this
Chalk
is all-
outline.
Yeah.
It's a good prediction.
Write this down.
Okay, back to Frank for your third and final prediction.
Okay. Well, by the way, I will be at the Giants game. It's a local game. I'll be in Minneapolis for the Detroit game, October 20, and I'm going for the first time to Nashville for the Titans game.
You'll love
Nice.
Great city.
Yeah,
You'll love it.
3-0 looks like.
I think so. I think 3-0.
So
Maybe
hang
maybe
in there.
one of them goes to overtime. A little bit of a sweat. We'll see.
By the way, Phil, you were in Manhattan a few months ago, right?
I was in. I think it was mid-March. It was like free agency week. I was there
remember.
for a
How'd it
sports
go?
media
Did they
conference.
use you alive in New York?
No, you know,
Midwest
listen. I got some New York edge when I want it out there. I can yell obscenities from across the street and then run away into an alley. I can talk smack with the hot dog vendors, the street vendors.
Well, those are good dogs too, by the way.
They'll wrap some of those in bacon for you too.
Oh God, those are good.
That's the place to be.
Yep.
Yeah, it's a great city. I love it.
Write this down.
All right. So, my final prediction was I thought a big deal when I first wrote to Declan, like in March, about coming on the show. It's not as big a deal now because now everybody's talking about Jalen Naylor. I mean, back then, the guy couldn't even stay on the field. So but anyway, I'm gonna leave the prediction. So write this down. Jalen Naylor for the year 2024 will have more receiving yards than any other team's number 3 wide receiver.
Wow. Frank coming in
And-
hot here.
Write this down.
Now, all of that assumes, number one, that he's healthy and that he gets the 3. It assumes Addison is not suspended. Naylor may wind up being the 2. So let's put it this way. Naylor will, whether he's even the 2, he will have more yards than any other team's number 3. And
Yeah.
you know what he does? And the reason I always liked him, he stretches the field, which even Jefferson doesn't do. We need that guy. We don't need a reliable third down guy like Adam Thielen. We need a guy that can stretch the field. And I think even as a 3, that's why he'll have a lot of yards. He'll have a lot to do out there with teams trying to cover those first 2 guys.
Yeah, this is a great opportunity for him right now, and he has so far in the first week of training camp, he's been one of the players that's flashed the most. You know, he had like 3 or 4 touchdown receptions in a single practice a few days ago. So
Yeah.
Got to stay on the field.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, Frank, great stuff here, man. Great.
Write this down.
Great to meet you, air quotes, in person for the first time after many email exchanges. Since you've got this life-altering platform right now on Purple Daily, is there anyone in your life you'd like to thank that helped you get to this peak moment?
Like I said, it's the camaraderie of being a Viking fan in New York is the great thing, because when you meet one, it's like it's a bond that you have.
Yeah.
So I'll tell you who I want to thank. There's a young lady from Minneapolis who came to New York on work a few years ago, Charlinda, and she worked a deal with Jack Doyle's bar in Herald Square. So it's between Madison Square Garden and the Empire State Building. Jack Doyle's, owned by a guy named Brendan from Ireland, not a football fan. She worked out making it a Vikings bar. And when I say a Vikings bar, I don't mean just that Vikings fans go there. Vikings menu, Vikings paraphernalia, Vikings raffles. So this is the Jack Doyle's T-shirt, if you can see.
Yeah.
Here,
let's go. Can we go full on, Frank? There we go. Yeah.
The great
awesome.
Minnesota Vikings get together at
love
Jack Doyle's NYC.
Yeah. So that would
really
be Charlinda Brewster. I did not know about it for the Minneapolis Miracles. I wasn't there for that, but I started going in 19. It's the place to be. So if you come back to New York during the season, that's the place to go.
Or even if I'm back again in March, I think I don't know if it's been announced yet, but the Barrett Sports Media Conference is why I've been in New York pretty much annually. I will be marking that first night. I will be going and getting some beverages and some food there. It sounds like a good time.
Yeah, drop me a note and we'll make sure you're protected from the rest of New York City.
Love it, man. Frank, great stuff, man.
Thanks,
we'll definitely
guys.
do it again sometime, all right?
Great show. Thanks so much.
There he is. Frank Bella. Whenever you hear us read one of his emails, always brings great historical perspective. Before we go further here and finish out the rest of our predictions, let's talk about how to fix your ugly decks. Is there a place that could help fix an ugly deck, Judd? What would you call it?
I would call it, let's see, I'll think about it. Uglydeck.com.
Oh, okay.
How about that? You know what, too? Fall is coming, right? Fall is coming. And
Doesn't feel like it today.
It doesn't feel like it today, but you know what? Today, air conditioning, right? But fall is, there's no better time to be outside watching TV and having a new deck. That is what you can get here. Ugly Deck on a mission to rid the world of exactly that. Ugly Decks. Buy a free or book a free deck estimate this month and get 3 free footings included. Just need a facelift for that deck. Get up to $1,000 off installation or a DIY package. They also have a full service package with the top carpenters in maintenance-free decks to build your entire deck. All you have to do is check them out. Go to uglydeck.com to book your free estimate. That's uglydeck.com. And yes, you can have a beautiful deck for fall. By the way, this bar idea, to me, I could see a vent line. I could see a vent line on the road in New York.
I had 2 cousins who lived in New York about 8 years, and I am familiar with this bar.
Oh, you are?
They used to go there to watch Vikings games.
Yeah. Maybe we can pull a few strings here. Week 1, the 3 of us running around Midtown on a Friday night, and then hunkering down on a Saturday night, being responsible, and then doing some vent line. Yeah, that sounds like. There's one in Seattle too called Petoskey's. It's more of a Midwestern theme, but it's the Vikings bar, and their menu is all like Midwestern themed things, and it's fun.
So the Vikings are playing the Jets in London on October 6th. So that game's in London. Obviously, it's not in New York. But I believe there is a possibility the Twins will be playing the Yankees the same time in New York.
This
I'm just saying.
happened. This happened in 2010,
Yeah.
where the Vikings were playing the Jets in New York, not London, but in New York, and then they were getting swept by the Yankees across town. And old Tom Pelissero and I, the early days of 1500 ESPN radio and 1500ESPN.com. We went out there to cover both those games. The Twins were supposed to play games 3 and 4. The series ended in 3, so we had just like a night on the town. But Purple Daily on the town. We'll see. We'll see. Pull some strings.
Love it.
Okay, let's talk about real quick before we make the final predictions. Also, Federated Insurance here. If you're a business owner out there, you got to make sure you have a game plan in place to stay focused on safety and preventing claim. It's like having a great offensive line to protect your business, and that's where Federated specializes. Since 1904, based in Owatonna, Minnesota, they build their business on relationships. They measure their success based on the success of your business. They're here to help you. Federatedinsurance.com, where it's our business to protect yours.
Write this down.
All right, Judd, final prediction.
All right, write this down. So, as we all know, the Vikings ground game went essentially nowhere last year. Madison was a disappointment. In fact, he had as many as 20 rushing attempts once last season. So, 20 for Dalvin was light on some weeks. So, Aaron Jones, Declan, will have 20 or more rushing attempts at least 3 times in the Vikings' first 8 games. They're going to ground and pound a little bit more. I think with their quarterbacks, they have to as well.
Yeah.
So Aaron Jones will have 20 or more rushing attempts at least 3 times in the first 8 games for the Vikings.
When did you start shifting? Because you were very much
You
like
were against Aaron Jones.
Ty Chandler needs. You
I
weren't
still
sure
think
about the signing of Aaron Jones, and now you are. I think Aaron Jones' number one stan here on the show.
So. When I started to watch him practice, there was more there left than I had thought. Like based on his age, I thought, how much is left there? But in watching him practice, and he is strong, but he's sort of, I'm trying to think of the best term for this, sort of slight, but that's not a bad thing. Like he doesn't look like a guy who's been beaten up a ton. Like Dalvin by the end had just been a workhorse, and you could just see that. I still think Ty Chandler has a role here. So I'm not saying that Jones is going to be the bell cow every game, but I also have convinced myself that because of the change in quarterbacks, they have to run more. Like you can't give, Darnold or McCarthy, you can't give them the Cousins KOC game plan and say, go to it, right? You've got to establish a run. In fact, I think the reason why Reisner is buried on the depth chart and Brandel is up is because of what we discussed, which is I think Blake is better as far as a run blocker goes. Dalton is not great there. So they're doing, in my opinion, they're doing a lot of things to shift to the possibility of we just have to run more.
Yeah. Yeah, it's Aaron Jones, man. I keep saying it. It's one of the sneaky best moves of any team in the offseason, just in terms of the upgrade on what you had going in last year.
But I've been impressed.
And he's a leader. He's out there directing traffic. He can catch passes. He's a safety blanket in that regard. That was another thing, not to keep clowning on Madison. I'm just talking about the difference and the upgrade here. Sure. But people kind of thought of him as he's a third down back. But he wasn't. He wasn't like great at catching passes.
Right.
He dropped like, well, that play against the Chargers when the Vikings were driving early in the season.
Yeah,
that was falling into a hole, and he like dropped a wide open, potentially touchdown pass in the red zone. He was never. We always had this idea of what Madison we thought he should be, and Aaron Jones actually is those things and has been a high level starter. So, Judd's standing for Aaron Jones. The upset of training camp here.
I like what I've seen. I feel like I want to put my eyes on players, but once I do, my opinion can change.
Yeah.
And I have put my peepers and my binoculars on 33, and I've been impressed.
Nice. All right, Dex, what's your final prediction?
I'll make an Andre Carter prediction here. I'm going to make a preseason game parlay. In Andre Carter's first preseason game, he will register a sack, he will register a TFL, and he will have multiple tackles in said game.
So a sack
TFL.
counts as a tackle, right? So Well, if he has both
Yes.
those things, those would be 2 tackles, a sack, a TFL.
But a sack and TFL are different. They are different statistics. They do not count in the same. A tackle for a loss is a tackle for a loss, not by a quarterback. I looked this up yesterday.
No, I'm aware of that. But you said a sack, a TFL, and 2 tackles.
Multiple tackles, yeah.
In addition to the sack and the TFL? Like a sack, right? Am I wrong on this? A sack is a tackle.
Yeah.
And a TFL is a tackle.
Is a tackle.
Too.
So you're saying a sack and a TFL, or a sack, TFL, and 2 additional tackles?
Yeah, a sack, a TFL, and additional tackles. 2 additional
When the show
tackles.
tries to do math, it is where we go off.
Just as a suggestion, just to keep things as simple as possible, I think we combine. So, like, I think if he gets TFLs, those are tackles, but it's impressive. Like, I would have no problem with not separating those things out.
So what should the prediction be officially?
A sack, the TFLs, but then the TFLs should count as they shouldn't have to be
I see what you're
additional.
saying. Just a sack and a
If
TFL.
they're additional, you're going to have to do the math
Okay.
on
Who's
the
on first?
statistics.
What's on
So-
second?
All right, we will
I get what you're
rework
saying.
this
I get what you're
into
saying.
Andre Carter.
I'm not
will
even
have
trying to be a jerk here.
Yep, I got it.
We just
now.
want clarity. We want clarity.
Right.
We will have a sack and a TFL in his first preseason game.
Yeah,
There we
that's
go.
fine.
There we go.
All right, let's go. Andre Carter.
Write this down.
I think the whole show
See
stands
how
for
I'm
Andre
really
Carter.
nice, and I'm trying to help out here, and I'm being ripped for checkdowns. You see how I bring a really pleasant demeanor to the program?
You know what? Just for all this, I'm going to counter.
down.
I'm going to counter. Let's not the Stephon Gilmore thing. I'm going to kind of counter it in this way. And this is a check down because they've signed a couple of bodies already.
Now you're on the checkdown bandwagon.
Maybe it's not check down, but the Vikings will not sign Stephon Gilmore. Write it down.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because and we can get into this here. They did sign another body yesterday.
Well, yeah.
We'll put a bow
this
on.
down.
Write that down here.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about Fabian Moreau. So they signed him after signing Bobby McCain, mostly as a safety, but he can play some slot. So Fabian Moreau is a 30-year-old veteran, 7 years in the league. He was a former third-round pick by Washington back in 2017. So he spent his first 4 years in Washington, and then each of the last 3 seasons, Atlanta in 2021 as a full-time starting cornerback, the Giants in 2022 started most of the year, and then Denver last year he played most of the year, 740 snaps, mostly as an outside cornerback. So like in his career, he's played 3,000 outside snaps, 946 slot snaps, but the majority of those were back in 2018-19.
Yep.
The bad news is he is the definition of just a guy, like a veteran, average.
Oh, he's a poster child jag, huh?
But he is a professional NFL cornerback. But he's not like a needle mover, but he prevents you from having to throw Andrew Booth Jr. out there if Andrew Booth Jr. is not a professional NFL cornerback.
Right.
Like his overall PFF grades the last few years are 62, 56, 57 on a 1 to 100 scale.
Right.
64.5. He's just been a body that's bounced around from Washington to Atlanta to the Giants to the Broncos, but he joins Vikings camp this week.
So they are right now signing guys who really want work. Because there is a list of guys probably who are trying to see. I'm with you on Gilmore not signing here, not because the Vikings don't want him, but because I think he's being smart. And I think that there is a fighting chance, a desperate team. And I would not call the Vikings desperate because I don't think situationally for where that they are as a franchise, they're going to be desperate. But, if you get a contender that, let's say in a training camp practice, a starting corner goes down. I mean, hell, it might be the Rams. Like, I could see that being Gilmore signing there in 3 weeks or so. If my math is correct now, the Vikings have signed 3 corners in like the past 2.5, 3 weeks, right?
So, yeah.
Jacoby Francis.
Yep. Jacoby Francis, Bobby McCain, more of a safety, classified as a defensive back, and then Fabian Moreau. So here's your depth right now. Shaq Griffin, TBD, soft tissue injury, but he's sidelined. It sounds like he's not going to be like missing week 1, but
yeah, and he told reporters yesterday it's a hamstring.
Okay.
So soft. I mean,
so they're not rushing him back.
no, and I would not.
And then you got Fabian Moreau, Byron Murphy Jr., Caleb Evans, Jay Ward has been playing cornerback in camp.
Yeah, I got a theory about
but
this.
no NFL experience.
Yes.
And then you got like Andrew Booth Jr., Duke Shelley, Dwight McLaughlin. You got a bunch of names in a room right now.
Yes.
But not a lot of high-end reliable candidates.
So the more I look at what they're doing as well in practice, and Phil, you saw this with Jay Ward on Monday. I think what they're doing is they're gearing up for the possibility of 3 safeties consistently, but really it might be a 4th that they think can cover guys as well. Like, I don't know that they're worried about the designation of you're a cornerback, at least in practices. I think what they're trying to do is roll guys through that they consider to be defensive backs. Now, are they going to start the season that way? I don't know about that. But it feels like the Jay Ward thing is, okay, the kid played the boundary, the slot, and safety in college. And so that's what sort of fits into the B-Flow lifestyle, which is I can use you like, I don't care what you're called. I can use you back there. So it feels like they're trending there.
Yeah.
And, but I do think that there is a definite profile of players that they want, which is why it doesn't feel like the Bobby McCains and Shelleys fit that profile.
Yeah. Yeah. So we'll see how this shakes out. And I'm guessing at some point we'll get another Judd 53-man roster projection in the next week or two. Be kind of interesting to sort that out. Mm-hmm. But yeah, hey, before we say goodbye, well, some of these cornerbacks might be looking for tee times if they don't make the 53-man roster. Where should they book?
Well, if they're going to be sweating in pads, I recommend sweating on the golf course because, I mean, we got some sweltering heat this week. I personally love to golf in the heat. I don't want rain. No one wants to golf in the rain. And I don't like the cloudy 50, 60, the weather doesn't know what it's doing. No, give me direct heat and give me the Meadows at Mystic Lake. That's exactly where I want to be. Book that tee time right now. You can go to golfthemeadows.com to do so. Whether you're shooting a 108 like Dex, whether you're breaking 80, it doesn't matter. They welcome all types of players. Go book that tee time at golfthemeadows.com.
And hey, it's almost Renaissance Festival season. Renaissance Festival opens up on August 17th. Weekends, Saturday and Sunday from August 17th through September 29th, plus Labor Day and Festival Friday on September 27th. We're talking real Vikings here. We talk about the Vikings. You can see real Vikings. Oh, look at this. We got juggling torches. You can throw axes, wield swords. You can watch live armored combat jousting. Enjoy tasty turkey legs, beer and wine, 16 stages of entertainment, and a huge marketplace. Discounted tickets at renaissancefest.com. That's renaissancefest.com. All right, lather up, hydrate. It's going to be 90-plus degrees,
SPF
humid,
9,000.
full pads. Yeah, I'll be pouring SPF all throughout the afternoon here over my bald head.
Football.
But we'll have Judd's camp notes in full effect tomorrow on the show. We've got a feedback Friday. Vikings training camp 1 week in with a couple weeks of like the meat and potatoes camp to go and tons of interesting position battles. So we are your daily home for Vikings training camp discussion, for Judd's camp notes. We just want the Vikings to win a Super Bowl before we die.
Amen.